Please, please let me stand. Please, man, I can't breathe.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
Welcome to
man.
the welcome to Bill Mason Show.
Thursday edition. We
Yes.
didn't uh we didn't plan on making this whole show or most of this show about something of this nature. We normally, would probably not, but you kind of have to touch on this. This is something that is undeniable. I mean, the
Right.
video evidence is there, you
Right.
know.
It is. So I mean, I don't know why they kept him pinned and we couldn't breathe. Doesn't make sense. If you did something wrong, arrest him, book him, jail him, whatever, but don't
Yeah.
kill him.
There's supposed to be a system where you charge the guy, you bring him, and it should be routine for those guys.
Hmm.
But apparently the routine was not happening that day because he was cuffed and face down. You can even see they shielded what they were doing with the car door. It was
Hmm.
open to block the intersection, and then all four of them, or I think three of them, were on top of him, and the other guy was like stand and watch.
Well,
I mean,
let's show it again. Let's take a look at that in slow mo.
very strange.
Yeah.
My face is gone.
Yeah, there's four of them covering. There's the door's open here.
Yeah, they're like blocking what they're doing
Please,
with the
please let me
doors open,
stand.
and
Please,
he
man.
doesn't seem to be putting up much of a fight.
He just wanted to get up so he can breathe.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looked like to me, and I've
Yeah.
I've seen that video, and there's the other angle. There's really
Hmm.
no difference. I mean, the only thing I like about that angle is you could see that they were like clearly nervous. Like the guy in the middle is looking like all around, like he's trying to see who's watching. I mean,
Hmm.
this is shady, man. These guys are gonna go down. They have to. I mean, the way Minnesota's handling it, the population is not the best way. You're not going to get justice that way, but
No, you're not
I
going to
mean,
loot your own stores in your neighborhood. That's not going to solve anything.
it's bad.
Yeah.
And social media. I mean, I know we're going to touch on that today, but some of the dangers of it. People were releasing addresses online through various social media platforms, like, hey, here's their address, and there were people were driving up to, it's not even the right address,
Hmm.
and you're getting out with bats and bottles and throwing Molotov cocktails at people. And this is what I was touching on some of my Twitter posts. This is why the Second Amendment is important, because the cops in that situation are tied up in a riot situation. Half the city is burning, and you
Hmm.
got carloads of people coming to your house because they think you're the officer. And now you have a problem. I
Hmm.
mean, do you have the right to defend your family? Absolutely,
Oh yeah.
you do. I mean, you see what mob mentality turns into. No
Right.
mentality. It turns into just violence. And I
Right.
mean, there's people now that are they're not going to show that because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Hmm.
The narrative the media wants is it's a white cop on a black guy,
Right.
and it's systemic, and it's the way things are nowadays
Right.
and all that stuff. But it's to me it's an abuse of power. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And should
It,
he face charges? Absolutely.
it would have happened to anybody if it was black, white. I believe. I don't think it was a race
Yeah.
issue, but I do think if I was caught and I was on the face down, if I would have died, it would have been the same thing. They would have roughed me up too as well. It's not like I was something special. Um,
Right. And you wonder almost, why they feel that way, but there is this concept, and this is only going to fuel it,
mhm.
like the people versus the police. Okay, so the police feel like they've been targeted. I know in my city, Philadelphia, they have just walked up to cops sitting at a coffee shop and
Mhm.
shot at them.
Right.
Cops have felt that they're targeted, and they're guys, there are officers that just want to go home at the end of their shift and do their job the best they can.
Mhm.
But I can understand them being on edge. But now I can also understand why, if you're black, and this video is going to go, it already is viral, it's everywhere. So if you're a black person, you are going to take this as this is systemic. This is what happens every time you get pulled over, and this is a thing. So you know, Are these guys going to face justice? Yeah, but I don't think they want the system. Now, Minnesota doesn't even have the death penalty. So they're screaming for these cops to die and face the death penalty, but Minnesota hasn't had it. They don't have it.
Right.
So the worst case scenario is they get convicted. Life.
Well, let's take a look at Floyd before the killing. I have a little video of him being taken out of the car. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
This video, obtained by CBS News, shows what appears to be the start of the confrontation between George Floyd and Minneapolis police officers. The video from a restaurant security camera shows officers taking him into custody.
He seems
But
cooperative.
The restaurant's owner says
I mean,
it does not
he's
show
mouthy,
Floyd
but I mean,
resisting
he's
arrest.
cooperative.
From what I saw on the camera,
Yeah, so that shows that. So
Yeah.
that started, looked pretty good to me. If he just got in the car, something happened between now and getting in the car. Some kind of confrontation. And you saw the last part of it where it shows him on the ground. Something happened when he started putting him in the car right there.
Yeah.
So,
Please let me stand.
You know, the knee on the neck. I mean,
look
people
at
that
him jamming his head into the ground. It's uncalled for.
It's a choke without looking like a choke. The carotid artery right here. It doesn't take much pressure on that for a long period of time before you black out.
Right.
And I mean, the other guys are putting pressure on his body where his lungs can't fill. So it's just a recipe for death.
Right. Yeah. So buildings are being burned. I mean, the whole streets are a disaster. We have videos here that we're about to show you. It's unbelievable. So we're going to talk about a little bit of virus news at the very end, but we do have a special from the family of Floyd life perspective. At the end of the show, it tells you about his life. So we're going to play that and see if people like that. So it's a very touching video. But let's take a look who's defending the stores.
Yeah.
So tell me who you are.
well, I mean, free Americans, yeah.
And what are you doing today?
We were out here yesterday too, down on the original protest site. So basically, you've seen the records that cops keep, and cops are a lot less likely to try and tread on people's rights when there's other armed Americans with them. So we figured it's about damn time that or at least I figure that it's about damn time some heavily armed rednecks stood with fellow citizens.
And why are you protecting this store?
Well, I mean, this wasn't exactly a specified action.
We've
been kind of,
so we just kind of ended up here.
We've been moving around and just trying to see what's what without getting necessarily completely slapped by massive groups of people. And while we were walking, somebody mentioned that there were some guys at the back of us actually wanted to know if they were over to go buy something, and they said that they're closed and they're defending their businesses. Oh yeah, Target's on fire. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we heard that. We're like, well, we better kid up and go see if these guys need help. And turns out these guys are out here with machetes and shattered windows trying to keep looters out of the business because cops can't get in here. And so, I figure before they were cops, they were just Americans. So here we are.
Or during the LA riots.
Or during the LA riots, collateral damage, I guess.
Everyone protected their own stuff. That's where you got the term rooftop Korean.
So bottom line, justice for Floyd, and I hope they stop looting at some point. If there were more of us, we could go stop them from looting, but it's just us four.
Yeah, we definitely don't agree with the looting.
Yeah, no, looting.
But we do
looting
agree
is
with the cause for the protest.
Yeah, definite protesting.
Oh, there we have it.
Yeah, and that has happened anytime that we've seen riots, and actually we've seen a lot of these under the previous administration. We saw them in Ferguson, where citizens are going to protect what they can. I mean, when it gets out of hand, it's clearly out of hand. It's not just throwing rocks and bottles. It's well beyond tipping cars over in the streets. This is entire cities, blocks being burnt, and I mean they're burning. What did AutoZone have to do with this? This situation? And AutoZone gets burned because there wasn't much to loot, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that that destruction, I guess, makes you feel better in the moment, but the aftermath is those businesses don't come back. So after a neighborhood goes through a riot, you lose your Walgreens, your CVS, your AutoZone, your Target. and they're not going to reopen. It's just as simple as that. And then it's a downward slide from there. The only ones who'll come back are the liquor stores and gun stores. And I mean, that's what you get.
Yeah, or tobacco stores.
Yeah, tobacco store will come back, the liquor store, the gun store. But I mean, you're not going to get a big business that's going to hire people and employ people and bring business and bring products and goods and services. All those things are gone now. Now people behave badly, and the punishment is that no one will come back.
Yeah, I mean, Target, I mean, just take a look at Target. I mean, it's totally destroyed.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, here we go.
This is literally the craziest stuff I've ever seen right now. This is Target right now.
It's picked clean.
It is, it's gone, man. Look at that.
They took the shelves.
Oh, that's so crazy.
My face is gone.
Because of that.
Yeah, and I get it. That's upsetting. That's upsetting to a lot of people. But that is not how you're going to get justice, man.
It is not.
Nothing that they are doing out in the streets. It's just getting attention. It's like a temper tantrum, so to speak. But man, the repercussions of it. I mean, I just Googled it earlier. A Target store has between $2 and $8 million worth of inventory. That place is picked clean, man. And then they burned it. I mean, you lost $8 million worth of goods and services that flowed through your neighborhood, and you lost all those jobs because you will never get them back.
Right. And all those employees. I mean, there must be 200 employees at a Target.
Exactly. I mean, it's probably a bigger employer in the area, so that's gone. They burnt the CVS and the Walgreens. So now your access to meds and stuff like that is, it'll resort to, Joe Pop's, pharmacy. It won't be CVS. They will not come back.
All right, let's take a look. Fires everywhere.
All right.
Look at that.
Yeah, it looks like a war zone.
It does. It looks worse than Syria.
Yeah. Aleppo.
There's a Target.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Let's take a look at the building's aftermath. Look at that.
Yeah, the day after. Unbelievable. It really does look like Syria.
It does, yeah.
It does.
Building's still on fire the next day.
I mean, I don't get it.
Friendly AutoZone.
Yeah, gone. Good luck getting brake pads now.
Oh no, they're not coming back.
No way, no how. So, the other thing I want to touch on real quick is that there were several, we'll call them people that I just watch on Twitter that, happen to be from the area saying that there were people that weren't from Minnesota that were involved in these riots. And I'm like, this has a familiar ring to it.
Yes.
It has a very familiar ring to it. So apparently this town is called Minnesota Lakes or something like that, or it's not. It's in between Minneapolis and something else. Yeah. So in St. Paul, they had buses of people being dropped off, and I'm like, this. I understand that people are upset that they're like, man, this feels like a blow versus the black community. We got to get, everybody. But are you going to come from Chicago and go riot? I mean, is that the thing that happens now? I mean, I understand your local population should be upset because that's their police. That's their everyday police. And they're acting that way. They got a right to be upset.
And George Floyd will give you $100 to go riot.
Yeah, it's got a familiar. Now, I'm not saying that happened, but it's got a familiar ring to it. that buses of people are being dropped off in St. Paul and they're going over to riot. I mean, it's almost like they're just as it's like tailgating for like the Super Bowl. These guys are psyched.
Yes. They're kind of excited. I know. It's crazy.
Overly excited. I mean, people were coming like with backpacks full of fireworks and things to start fires. Like there was like supplies involved. I mean, this was not like just spur of the moment stuff. And that's the messed up part about it is you think about who really looks bad in this situation. Like me from the 30,000 foot view, I say, okay, that's a Democrat run state, a bunch of Democrats in charge, but they're going to spin this 9 different ways to Sunday. And they're going to go, oh, well, it was a white cop, therefore he likes Trump, therefore we're going to connect this line to this line, and therefore it's Trump's fault. And then you go, oh, my God, not again. I mean, Trump denounced it as soon as he saw the video. Mm-hmm. He was like visibly shook. He was like, oh, my God, it's terrible. So to draw the line, this connecting line back to Donald Trump just because it works for you it's getting old. And I think that the public's some of the public is waking up going, come on, man.
You didn't see Donald Trump out of the police car that was chucking him?
Yeah. That was his other knee, apparently. I mean,
I don't know where they got that from. I really don't. Now it is starting protests other cities like LA and New York, by the way.
Yeah, and I also heard Chicago. I couldn't find footage, but I saw a tweet about Chicago too.
Well, that makes sense. Chicago, LA, New York.
Yeah.
I mean, Democrat states, that makes sense.
Soros hubs.
Right. So let's take look at Union Square in New York, see what happened there.
Okay.
This is only a few minutes ago, by the way.
Yeah, it was tonight.
And they were arresting people there, and then I guess a woman there was saying stop because they arrested her sister or something. I don't know.
Well, the weird thing about these protests, and I totally support you have the right to be upset and protest, but when they turn to violence, when you throw bottles at cops, when you even if it's a water bottle, you have just initiated contact. And now when they shoot tear gas at you and it, burns your leg because that is hot, now all of a sudden you have this confrontation. That protest all of a sudden turned into conflict, and conflict turns into, it turns into a racial thing instantly because, it didn't matter. Like even in, this case, there was an Asian man on the scene. Definitely the white guy had his knee, directly in the carotid artery of, believe me, I'm not trying to say like the white guy had nothing to do with it, but it was not like a death squad of white officers. There was a Hispanic guy, there was an Asian guy, there was a white guy, and I think another white guy. But the thing is they were just all being cops. Okay, so like cops stick together. I know cops personally. I luckily know good cops. I know a lot of cops that really get through their day and go, man, I hope tomorrow's not as bad as today. And they get up and they lace their boots on and put their gun on and they do it again and again and again and again. But, cops are going to stick together because it's a pretty tough job. It's really hard for at least the cops that I know to be able to stick up for that guy who's doing that thing at that time. And it becomes the bad apple, and you really hope that, Minnesota finds a way. Now, here's the other wrench in the works. It's Keith Ellison, okay? If everybody knows who Keith Ellison is or is now, he's a prosecutor, but before he was this rabble-rouser, Antifa supporting, like pro-Soros, like lunatic globalist. Yeah, he's in charge of prosecution. So I think we know where that's going.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Wow. I mean, there's always like 1 or 2% bad apples in any organization, including the police department.
Yeah, and it's any authority. I'll be honest. I know people who worked for the toll commission, okay, and they found a way to steal money. I mean, it's like you can only, have so much power, and it becomes a little power pyramid. It only takes a few people, and then next thing you know, it makes the whole structure look like it's bad. But
that's true. All right, well, let's take a look at this now. I mean, is this really a race thing, or is this a a cop going overboard? And this, what is this? I mean, what do you think, Bill? Is it a race thing that's happening right now?
I personally don't know what the climate's like in that area. So I don't necessarily know. I know that there's definitely racial tension in certain neighborhoods. Like I know parts of Philadelphia are really bad to the point where they normally the cops that I see in Kensington and Strawberry Mansion, they happen to be black cops because they know that if there is a part where the cops interact with the public, then there is not going to be pictures of white versus black, and it makes the news and it looks bad on paper. See, it's a lot of the optics, a lot of like what it looks like. So when I get pulled over and it's a state trooper and he's like, yeah, he's a white guy, and he's like, yeah, you're doing 105. I pretty much can't play the white card. I'm just doing 105 and I know I'm going to get it. But that's me on a highway. I generally feel like the transaction's going to go quickly. I know that there are neighborhoods where black people see a cop car and they piss their pants. They're like, oh my God, this is bad. Like the climate in the neighborhoods is definitely a contributor to how the cops handle every situation. Whether they put their hand on their gun immediately or they're like, hey, Bob, you had a few too many tonight. Let me follow you home. I mean, there's a big, giant, swing of how cops can handle situations. Right. And I mean, I don't know the climate there, so I can't speak on that, but it's definitely the optics. It's a white guy and a black guy on the ground. So how's CNN going to spin that? They love this because this is what they do. Right. The CNN does the racial divide. They go, there it is. We just put it there for you. Right. This side's you and this side's them, and you got to pick a side. But I mean,
I live in the South, so I mean, you would think, hey, okay, I live in the South, and you might see a bunch of racist people around, or you might have a friend that's racist or something like that. That is far from what it is. I don't have a friend or know somebody who's racist, probably since I was in high school.
Right, and most people don't. That's the crazy thing. So like, you take the population of the United States and. I thought it was 350 million. Now the reports are like it's 328, and they're going to do a census, so we'll know exactly. But, the guys that wave like Nazi flags, when you see a dozen of them, on the side of the road, there's a dozen guys waving Nazi flags. They immediately go, oh, wow, that must be a major problem in the country. Like, they don't realize that, like, yeah, those 12 guys, they sit around and they drink beer and they have their little personal race war, but that's not what goes on in everyday life. I seriously, from me knowing a law enforcement people, I know that they don't lace up their boots going, man, I'm going to get into something today. They just want to get through a shift.
Well, this is something that people don't want to talk about now. I have seen reverse racism against white or Hispanic or Asian.
Yeah.
So I have seen that, and it works both ways. It doesn't work just one way.
It does, and like I just said before, there's a climate to the area. Mm-hmm. Like right now, if I were to drive through St. Paul, Minnesota, okay, with a pickup truck and a rebel flag and an AR-15 on my lap, I'm pretty sure the cops would treat me differently than if I did that through rural West Virginia, because that rural West Virginia, that's just a Tuesday. Okay, where right now, St. Paul, Minnesota, they're like, whoa, this is bad. You can't do this. So I think that there's always a level of escalation that they worry about that being the optic, that this is a race war. This is something that's going to explode into every community all over the world. And that's the other thing. CNN will say, oh, look, here's LA. Here's Chicago. Oh, look, New York City. I mean, they could do that all they want, but the people that get up and go to work tomorrow are not really going to take this to a level where it's like, oh my God, I'm worried about a race war.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have great friends that are black, white,
I do as well.
Hispanic, you name it. So it's just like, you don't see anything at all, animosity or racist or anything like when I talk. It
never comes up. Honestly, the people that I hang out with, it doesn't even come up.
It doesn't.
It may now because
during this, yes.
During this will bring it up, and some of my friends will be like, what do you think about that? And this is cut and dry for me, because I'm like, yeah, man, that was over the line, and he should definitely be prosecuted. There's no gray line for me on this. I've watched the videos. I think he's guilty. I mean, you know, that's a wrongful death suit, and it's most likely manslaughter for this guy.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't look good for him. So,
No.
but we do have a video showing a lecture. She's trying to portray that, you know, people are targeted. I think it's everybody's targeted. It's not this certain race. Let's take a look and see what she said.
Sure.
Who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
There you go. So what do you think?
Yeah. I think she puts it in a perspective that it's really hard to deny. I'm sure if you had a room full of different race people, we'll say a mix, and say, would you like to be treated like white people? A lot of people would stand up and think it's like this amazing life that everything's handed to you and it's really awesome. And you have your white privilege card and you just swipe it and you never pay for anything.
I never got that card, unfortunately.
I got mine in the mail, and it doesn't work anywhere. The white privilege card doesn't work anywhere. I tried to use it at Outback. They told me I had to wait an hour. I was like, but wait, I have this. And they were like, get out of here. So anyway, I mean, a lot of people, and that's the misnomer in this country, that there is definitely a race that has a one-up. Now, when I just recently Googled, the racial breakdown of millionaires, in this country, it's pretty balanced, man. I have to say. I mean, yes, Caucasian people are still at like 55%, but the next level after that is almost even. It's like 13% Asian, 13% Black, 12% Hispanic. Like, it really is balanced to the point where I think some of
the population.
Yeah, to the population, right. Because when you think about the population, I hate to say this, but Black and Hispanics have a lower percentage than Caucasian people. So should they be in the 40% of the millionaires? Yeah, you're not going to get equality because there is just a balance that is never going to be in balance, like the population, for example. Right. The color balance and all of these things. I mean, if I went to Somalia, I'm not going to immediately be successful because I'm Caucasian. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can't just move to Somalia and be like, hey, the Caucasian guy's here. Let's give me my stuff. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work that way.
You can show him your card.
Yeah, I could show my card, but I know it doesn't work in Somalia. I'm going to swipe that thing until my fingers hurt.
It doesn't work in America.
No, it doesn't work. So the whole aspect of your perception, if someone can give you the perception that you want to feel like you're under the gun or you want to feel pressured, then it's easy to sell you the need for change. Okay, so like the thing with conservatives, right? We get a bad rap because they say you want to conserve the old ways and well, what's the Constitution? It's this old piece of paper, right? Well, that's the thing. I see that as a basis of freedom. And I know people that come from other countries come here for opportunity. That's here because the rest of the world doesn't have that. They have things that fall apart at the drop of a dime. I don't want to see this country fall apart at the drop of a dime because one, population feels that like they're constantly impoverished. Now, when you look at the Democrats, of course, they love that because they can always use that and say, you have this enemy, and the common enemy it's either the wealthy or, it's the police. It'll be the police for a long time. And I feel really bad about this, that the police are probably going to face more and more aggression towards them because look at what they did in Minnesota. they basically burned the Target and looted it to the ground directly across the street from the police station. And then they rallied around the police station and basically made the cops not be able to go home for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
They scared the police in that building. They stood on the rooftop with tear gas. So the brazenness of that, this emboldens them. Okay, everybody involved, and like it said, there was mixed people in that clash.
Right.
Okay, now it becomes we're the people versus the man. Okay, the people versus the police. But what we also saw happen was that thin blue line broke down, and now who do you call to protect your business that you just invested your life in when they're not going to come? The Second Amendment is what you have left,
Right.
and that's a constitutional guarantee. So you cannot lose that. You know what I mean? But I'm going on a tangent. I know we got more stuff to talk about.
Very good. So, I mean, so that's the end of the Floyd segment of this. So at the end of the show, we have a video, the mother and friends and fiance talking about how wonderful guy he was. So we're going to play that end of the show as we venture off. But first of all, let's talk about Joe Biden. While we're talking about race, let's take a look at that video that he said was it last week or this week? I forgot when it was.
I think it was last week, yeah.
Last week, so let's take a look.
So much, that's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks. I will come back.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you in person.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, pal. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Charlamagne.
All right, so he apologized for that statement, saying that if you're not, if you vote for the other guy, you're not black.
Yeah, I mean, that is just classic Democrat, though. Seriously, like we were just talking about that. That is classic Democrat. That everyone's out to get you. Everyone's against you. I'm your man. The old white guy who's been in power for 40-something years, who's a segregationalist. I'm your guy.
Still hadn't solved any problems.
Never.
Been there for 47 years.
Literally, he wrote the crime bill, the crime bill back in whatever, I think it was like 1993 or whatever, that incarcerated more people of color than any other bill ever written. He authored it, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm your guy.
And then Trump pretty much reversed that.
Yeah, Trump's like, look, I'm not going to give somebody 25 years for pot possession. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the crime bill did. If you got caught with a joint when you were 18, and then you got caught with a small bag of pot when you were 20, and then you got caught again, boom, you went away for 25 years. Right. You're basically a guy who likes to smoke pot. Like, should you be in jail for 25 years? No, obviously. So, I mean, the flip side of that is somehow they try to paint Trump as this racist guy who's doing everything he can to kind of like let that pot simmer down and empower people financially. Right. The flip side of the Democrat is that, you'll never have power unless we give it to you. Right. And you'll never have money unless we give it to you. Right. And you'll never have a place to live unless we give it to you. Now, the Republican side is like, hey, man, it's going to be tough, but you're going to have to get a job, and you're going to save your money. You're going to earn. You're going to own your own house, and then maybe even be your own boss. Awesome, right? Meanwhile, the Democrats are like, you will never do that. So
we just want to give you money.
We're just going to give you a house, give you money, and you're going to do exactly what we say for as long as we say it.
Right. And when you run out of money, we can't help you out. So you just stay poor, you go loot, and then there you are.
Yeah, it's like this weird cycle that has never worked, but they keep finding a way to like crank up that monkey box and be like, look, there's the monkey again. He popped out. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. And over again, Biden is just dropping the ball. And I mean, he actually does better when he just goes out in public and says, hey, how you doing? I'm Joe Biden. I'm not Donald Trump. And just walks off stage. It's like, his numbers go up.
Well,
When he starts...
Well, sometimes you can even know his no name. So
Yeah, sometimes he doesn't even... He goes, vote for the other Biden.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad he knew that person's name, by the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wrote that on an index card and he was holding it in his hand.
They had to.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to the next segment. What we're talking about here is Trump. This would have been headlines any other day, by the way, on our show. But we're talking about social media censorship. And Trump had signed an executive order today. Let's take a look and see what he said.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're here today to defend free speech from one of the gravest dangers it has faced in American history, frankly. And you know what's going on as well as anybody. It's not good. A small handful of powerful social media monopolies controls a vast portion of all public and private communications in the United States. And we know what they are. We don't have to name them. We're going to give you a complete listing. We're going to give you a signed copy of what I'm going to be signing in a couple of minutes, and you'll see exactly what we're doing. They've had unchecked power to censor, restrict, edit, shape, hide, alter virtually any form of communication between private citizens or large public audiences. There's no precedent in American history for so small a number of corporations to control so large a sphere of human interaction.
All right, so there you have it. So President Trump talking about censorship.
Yeah, and I think it's not even a loophole. I seen some of the afternoon MSNBC people talking like, oh, he's trying to use a loophole to be able to let them not control what they publish, and then that's the operative word. So you become a publisher, right? So like a newspaper, for example, is a publisher. So they are held accountable for the content of their publication. So now that Twitter and Google and stuff, they want to be publishers of information. Now they're going to be held to the same standard, which is you can be sued for libel when you print something that is just slanderous and untrue. And that would pretty much shut CNN down.
That would be.
Okay.
Yeah,
they would be out of business. So, and everybody else who just spewed the Russian collusion thing. So like, I know Trump tweeted this back then about the Pulitzer Prizes that were awarded to these people that were like reporting on the Russian collusion hoax, and he's saying like, give them back. It was proven it was fake. You are a journalist that did fake news and got a Pulitzer for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what that does effectively is it puts them in a different genre. They're not artists that just, oh yeah, we willy-nilly throw whatever out. We just throw a flower against the wall and spray paint on it. No, you're a publisher. And if you're a publisher, now you're responsible. And now you have things and guidelines that you have to go by. There's no more gray area where you guys just keep fluffing the cloud and saying, no, that's not us. So this puts them in a line. Now, can they fight it? Of course. They're going to fight this probably tooth and nail. And I know they got money. But this could go on for a while. And we all know that they've been shadow banning people. They shadow ban us.
Oh, yeah, they do. I mean, they delete our videos. Because we said something wrong, because we said something about vaccines or something. So, so I think it might be too little too late, though. I mean, they're going to go, it's going to go to court, and this probably won't be resolved for a year or two.
Right. And it could probably be something that gets batted back and forth between district courts, so there's this other illusionary thing in the legal fiction realm. Okay, so there's district courts where it could be like we've seen it. Oh, he's convicted in the Southern District of New York. Okay, so that is the whatever you want to call it. That is their little territory that they have, and then federal technically can only run in DC, right? So like it becomes a battle of jurisdiction. And it gets batted back and forth. And like, a company like Google, for example, would be like, oh, we're headquartered in Ireland. What's that got to do with us? And, it's him in a hall and a legal paperwork and a bunch of filings that can go back and forth. This could take years and years and years. But I think Trump's kind of like flexing his muscle with this executive order to try to get them to back down. But the flip side of this is that if they don't, and I mean, this would hurt us. He could basically shut down like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, you know what I mean? And just say, you're all not publications, like you're just done, you know what I mean? And then they have to fight to get reinstated. So that could happen too.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think we should probably do a whole show on censorship.
Yeah,
social
we can
media,
do that.
So let's do that.
Definitely.
So, I mean, that's the show tonight. No, we are going to show Floyd's life with his family.
Yep, we're going to end with that.
So let's go ahead and end with that, and then we'll see you next week.
Yep,
unless there's an emergency going on, we'll come on an emergency broadcast.
Yep.
And I think you're watching us.
Hey, and hopefully they launch on Saturday. I mean, if you missed our last episode, yes, I'm hoping the weather is good, and I really want to see that launch, man, and I hope all you guys are pulling for it too.
Yeah, everybody should watch that last video about the space. It was a great video, I think.
Yep.
So take a look at that about the SpaceX program. So here we go. Here's about Floyd's life. Here we go.
He would say that he's a man of God. He would stand on that firmly.
He was a very loving person, and he didn't deserve what happened to him.
Our young generation is clearly lost, man. Clearly lost, man. Like, I don't even know what to say no more, man. Like, you youngsters just going around, just busting guns in crowds, kids getting killed. One day it's gonna be you and God. You going up or you going down. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be it. My heart hurt.
Floyd was my brother, man. We called each other twin, bro. My brother only was out there in Minnesota. He was changing his life. He went to Minnesota. He was driving trucks.
Oh, he would tell his friends, like, come up to Minnesota, man. You can do it here. Like, you can get a job and you can start fresh, and this is the place to do it.
They hurt me and they hurt my family. I can't take nothing back. I can't get my brother back. They at home, they sleep, they with their wives, they got kids. If something like that happened to them, they'll be just like me.
Firing them is a good start, but we want to see justice for our family. What they did was murder. And almost the whole world has witnessed that.
We need justice for my brother. They need to be convicted of murder. I can imagine my brother would not even be able to sleep at night this happened to me. And it hurts me deep.
Please, 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 I can't breathe. Please, man, please, somebody help me.
We want to see them charged with murder. And we want them to be convicted. We want them arrested. They need to pay for what they did. He didn't deserve what happened to him, and they didn't do anything to help him. They were supposed to be there to serve and to protect, and I didn't see a single one of them lift a finger to do anything to help. While he was begging for his life, not one of them tried to do anything to help him. That I didn't see. What I did see was murder, and that's what I want them to be arrested and charged and convicted for. It definitely warms my heart to see that we have so many people willing to support and to protest and to give him a voice and keep this going, because he was a very loving person, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. So yes, we are definitely even overwhelmed, because we didn't expect to have the kind of support that we have.
I love my brother. Everybody loves my brother. Knowing my brother is to love my brother. They could have tased him. They could have maced him. Instead, they put their knee in his neck and just sat on him and didn't care at all. He screamed, "Mama, mama, I can't breathe. I can't breathe." So I just don't understand what more we gotta go through in life, man. They didn't have to do that to him. He's a giant. They took a life, now they deserve life.